to face the finality of Nan's death just yet. It was too soon. In her current mood tonight, though, she actually felt like a trip down memory lane. She needed something comforting and familiar to ward off the unpleasant events of her day. She flipped through the brown-edged albums and smiled as she pored over the photos of her family. There were Christmas mornings when she was a toddler. Everyone sitting around a small, shabby Christmas tree, blurry-eyed, with bird nest hair. Her first day at school, and school photos her mother had obviously sent so Nan could place them proudly into her albums. Poppy cringed at some of them, with the atrocious haircuts and missing teeth. She hoped Nan hadn't shown too many people these photos over the years. How embarrassing. Poppy picked up the last album in the box and noticed something beneath it. She reached in and took it out. It was an old leather-bound book. Turning it over, she saw gold-embossed initials sprawled across the front. M.A. Inside were folded pieces of paper which had yellowed with age. A large brass latch held everything securely inside. This was a diary. At first, she thought it must have belonged to her grandmother, but the initials on the front were wrong. The leather was well worn, as though this had once been someone's treasured possession. Poppy hesitated briefly as she released the clasp and opened the book. A diary was private. It was the place you could write your innermost secrets and dreams. But Poppy looked at the date scribbled on the inside cover and realized whoever this belonged to was well and truly gone, and she felt marginally better about intruding. This diary belongs to Maggie Abbott, February 1914. Poppy smiled at the youthful handwriting and tried to place the name. Obviously, this Maggie, being an Abbott, was some kind of relative, although Poppy couldn't recall ever hearing of her. She did a quick calculation with the dates and realized Maggie would have been the generation before her grandparents, so it was going back quite a way. The first year or so were girly ramblings that Poppy read through briefly, wondering at the innocence of the era. However, further on there were some neatly folded letters, old letters, in between some of the pages scattered throughout the book. A quick examination of the date in the top corner of the first one made Poppy sit up straighter on the lounge. It appeared to have been written during the First World War. She began reading and was instantly captivated. This was a love letter, written by someone who was pouring his heart out to Maggie. She carefully refolded and placed the letter back where she'd found it. A brief glance at the dates on the top of the letters seemed to indicate that the placement of the letters may be important to the flow of the diary. She didn't want to read anything out of sequence, so she forced herself to go back to the start. Chapter 2. 9th of June, 1914. How I hate winter! I also hate cows. I will never grow up and marry a farmer. This morning there was a frost on the ground as we headed out to bring up the cattle for milking. I usually try to avoid the morning milking. I'd rather do anything but walk about outside in the cold and dark, chasing silly cows. Frank and Tom laugh at me, hopping on the spot to keep warm. It's all right for them. They're boys, and everyone knows boys can't feel the cold. Tom said I should go stand in a cow paddy to keep my feet warm. I think Tom should go stick his head in one. 18th of June, 1914. Bean harvesting has started. I hate beans. 20th of June, 1914. I saw Alex today, while I was picking beans. I was working close to the fence when he rode up. He was covered in dust and sweat, but I thought he looked rather dashing, like a bushranger or something as he galloped up the driveway on his big brown horse. I almost fainted when he pulled to a stop beside me to say hello.